Hey everyone, this is Ludicrous Speed, and this is a tutorial or a new speedrun that is aimed for true beginners, people who are looking to get into speedrunning but aren't really sure where to start. I'm fairly new to speedrunning. I've been doing it for about 2 years. I can beat the game in under an hour. And this run is meant for people just looking to get into it. It doesn't really have any fancy tricks, it doesn't have any big clips. It's a conservative route that weighs risk and reward a lot. So some of the stars we go for are a little bit easier, but they're more consistent and you're less likely to die. This run is done in just under an hour and really doesn't have any big tricks, nothing too complicated. I felt when I was starting off that the beginner runs or beginner strats that were listed were still pretty difficult to do, particularly Skyjump in BOB. So as we start off, I'm not going for Lakitu skip. I'm just going to talk to him. It takes about 8 seconds. But when you're watching this, and if you're using this to get better, by all means, if you learn a new trick, go for it. If you feel comfortable going for Lakitu skip, by all means, do it. This is just a tool to get you started if you're not really sure where to begin. And proof that it can be done in under an hour. Now, when we enter here, you can change the camera as soon as you fall in. And I started off with a long jump followed by a couple jump dives. Neither one is really faster than the other, but the big difference is that is the distance you travel between jumps. So sometimes if you're traveling a certain distance, it might make more sense to do 3 long jumps. In this case, it makes more sense to do a long jump and then 3 jump dives. It's just how the distance works out. For the chain chomp, don't go for the bomb clip. I run around, I let him attack me once, I dodge it, and then ground pound 3 times. Next we're going to go over to Womp's Fortress, and we're going to start off with Wild Blue. Now, these are beginner's speedrun strats, so I'm not going to be using the cannon or anything like that. And in some cases, we're going to do the routes just as you would see in in the tutorials for on the RTA. Other ones we are going to take completely different routes. Some ones we will on some stars we're going to do it the casual way, the intended way. So on this one, really what I'm trying to do is I'm going for the corners. I'm trying to round the corners as much as I can. You don't really want to do like a quick stop and turn around back, otherwise that'll slow you down a lot. On this next one we go for Womps, and for the most part I avoid doing clips, but for Womps it's actually a lot easier to clip through him than it is to run around and dodge his attacks. You'll see what I'm talking about here in a second. But as he comes down on me, I jump and ground pound just as he starts to fall. I'm going to do this 3 times. And notice on the 3rd time, kind of how I get myself in a position right about there. And that is where the star is going to spawn. And I just know this from time. I was a little off on the wrong square, but close enough to grab the star. The next one I think we are going for Womp's Fortress, the top of it. Just grabbing my notes here. And so for this one, just like the last star, we're going to do a triple jump wall kick onto this island. Normally you would kind of go up and kind of jump up that slope and turn around, slide down and jump up, but it's too advanced. So I'm here to show that you don't need to do the super advanced strats to beat the game in under an hour. And the next one is the owl. So when we get into the tree, you're going to notice that I try to land to the top of the tree as much as I can, and I don't want to go too high. If I keep pushing up, Mario will end up kind of doing like a handstand and he'll jump up in place. So you want to be careful that you don't go too high. Now when you're aiming the owl, when you drop Mario, you can still move him left and right a little bit, and you can see his shadow above the star. That will help you land and avoid missing. Now going for the owl instead of owlless is only about 4 seconds shorter, and if you miss owlless once, it actually ends up costing you about 8 seconds or so. And finally we're going to do the cannon. We're not going to do the trick. that you normally see, cannonless. And notice there when I got into the tree and I jumped, I didn't go too high, because if I went too high, the owl would appear, and then I had to go through the text box and you'd lose some time. So here I'm just going to do the intended way. Just going to break the wall. There is a trick where you can time it out with the spinning platform so you don't have to get into the cannon a second time. But again, this route is intended to be as simple as possible. It's just for casual players that are looking to get into it, that don't know where to begin. And this is a, I guess I didn't mention, it's a 70-star run. And normally you don't do JRB, but there are some stars that are just too hard to get, that are faster, that you can do later with more practice. So you won't go to JRB later. But these ones are very consistent. They're quite easy. Just take a little bit more time. They're very predictable. Now when I swim here, I'm swimming fast. There's a way to time your A presses, and if you listen to the sound, it kind of makes this whoop 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 sound, for lack of a better way to do it. And you'll see it, you'll feel it if you're off. If you are slower, it's no big deal. I mean, you will lose time, but it's not going to cost you a life or anything like that. So in this star, it's just a good opportunity to practice fast swimming and kind of turning those corners nice and sharp without losing too much time. Now the next star, I believe, is the longest one that we'll do, and that is getting the sunken ship, getting the eel out of the ship. And even though this is the longest star, the reason why we do it is it sets us up for some of the next stars. For example, the stone pillar cannon shot. Now, if you're watching this, I'm kind of expecting that you are familiar with the game, that you have been in it casually, and this isn't necessarily a movement tutorial. So if you're looking to learn the mechanics of the game, I might tell you what, I'll list a couple good videos from, say, like Simply or Blue Bob or Sean Rader, who really go into details about the movement of the game. For this one, there is a clip that you can do to get into the eel, but it's complicated. So we're doing this kind of the casual way. You go down, get near the eel, come back up, surface, and go back down, and the eel will pop out. Now in this part, as long as you swim well, you can easily beat the water dropping, and you can get to the box. You more or less have to wait for the water to come down to the platform so you can stand. You can jump out of the water, but you can't ground pound. So you can break the box jumping out of the water, but you won't be able to grab the star. So on this next one, we're going to get the chest star. This one's also one of the longest stars. But I'm going to unlock the cannon here, and that will set us up for the stone pillar shot on the following star. When you talk to the bombs, you want to slowly kind of walk into them, and you can press B. As you saw there, I just punched him in the face, and that's because I mistimed it a little bit. And you'll see the jet stream star there. I'm not going to go for the jet stream star because it does require fast swimming, but if you are comfortable getting it, I would recommend adding that to your list and replacing with the star later. In my opinion, I think the THI Secrets is one of the hardest stars to do. It's one that involves a lot of deaths. And you'll notice here, I want to try to turn my corners nice and round. On that second chest there, I didn't turn properly, and Mario lost a lot of speed. But on the third and fourth ones, I did a nice job of turning. When you do go to the chest, what you want to do is you want to have Mario facing the chest, touching the chest, and he has to be facing the back part of it. So you can still be on the side of the chest, just as long as you're aiming face towards kind of the back middle part of it, you'll be good. Yeah, I use a Hori mini pad, which makes it a little bit tougher to aim the cannon sometimes. But overall, I think the Hori mini pad is a better controller. I think it's easier to use. It's a lot easier on your thumb over time. It doesn't require as much force to move the joystick around. And on this last one, we are going to get the see if the eel can come out to play. I like to use the cannon to get over there. I just hit A as soon as I can. Just launches straight from the default angle. And then when I land, I'm going to roll out. And to roll out, I basically just press A and B at the same time. And you'll see that throughout. I mean, rolling out is a big part of speedrunning. And you want to try to roll out basically right when you land. You'll hear the term like a dusty rollout, a dustless rollout. Basically, if you do a belly flop, a belly slide, and you don't roll out, he'll create a lot of dust and he'll slow down. That dust causes lag, he'll lose all of his full momentum. So being able to do a dustless rollout is key to speedrunning. And you can do it when you do a dive. You can just press B, but you're more likely to get dust, so it's easier to do A and B as soon as you land. A lot of times you do with your first jump, you do a kick with your first jump, and there's a few reasons for that. Number one, it just gets you going a little bit quicker. Number two, you are guaranteed to land and do a double jump. So if you're in a double jump and you kick, when you land, you'll go into another double jump instead of a triple jump. Another reason why we kick is that it gives you a little bit of a boost of height, whether you're going forward or backward. And lastly, I think the big reason why we kick is that so you don't ledge grab. If you're going, say, for a tree, and you jump by the tree and you kick, you won't grab onto it. If you're getting near a ledge and you don't want to ledge grab, if you kick, you won't ledge grab. You won't be able to wall kick. It basically will take out different obstacles out of the course from kicking. On the wing cap star here, you basically just want to hit the apexes, keep the corners as tight as you can. This is actually a surprisingly tough star to do. It's hard to do fast. Easy to do the casual way. Here I'm just going to ground pound on top of the switch. It's not too hard. The more advanced strat is to basically jump on top of the switch and jump immediately into the star. That will avoid the text box that you see. But for this is a very simple speed run, and so I'm trying to avoid that. But if you feel comfortable doing it, by all means, go for the more advanced strats. For example, on the slide, I'm going the long way. There are two different shortcuts. Now this is above the 21-second star, the default star. And you're going to notice that I pulled back here a little bit. I don't want to go over 21 seconds because the star spawn itself takes about 4 or 5 seconds. So, strangely enough, a time of 21 seconds, 0.2 is faster than a time of, say, 19 seconds. So next we're going to go to Dark World. This is a tough stage, even beginner or advanced. I think the Bowser stages are all really tough regardless, and we're going to get the red coins in this one. I'm going to wait for the flame spitter to shoot, and this is a good example of risk reward. I can go for the switch, but I risk the chance of getting burned. So to play it safe, I just wait for the flames to stop. Here I'm going to go around. Normally you would see people do a triple jump off of that, up that slope, but I'm going to try to avoid any sort of tricks like that. I think there's only one place in the entire run, or sorry, there are two places in the entire run where I do a triple jump off a slope. For whatever reason, you can do a triple jump off slopes. You can't really do single or double jumps, but you can do a triple jump off almost any slope. It's not too hard, but it's not really casual movement, so I'm trying to avoid those type of movements. There are some things that I do. For example, the little penguin coming up, I am going to take the shortcut because that one's so easy to learn. You can actually learn it faster than you would the amount of time it takes to carry the penguin around. It's actually quite easy to do, and we'll see that when we get there. For this Bowser spin, I don't remember how many times I do it, but you really only need to spin Bowser around twice and hit B to let go. And when you get the star, or excuse me, the key, basically what you want to do is be walking towards Bowser. You want to be facing towards him. You have to be within a certain distance of him, and you just have to be moving in order to activate the key spawn. Now this next star we're going to BOB and we're doing the wing cap, and this is probably the best example of a beginner strat that is actually quite hard to do. Normally, if you're familiar with typical speedrunning, which I'm kind of assuming you are, you know, you grab the wing cap, you jump up to the side. It's a hard trick to learn. So for this one, I'm taking out all of that complexity. We're adding more time, but it's simpler. So triple jump, wall kick up on the side there. That wall is a little bit angled, so you do have to play around with that. And then this is the only time in the entire run where I kick my way up a slope. And basically what you want to do is you want to hold A while you're going up and hit B to kick. Now that slope is surprisingly difficult to do it, because if you press B too quickly, you will do a dive. Basically, if you're running up the slope too quickly and you press B, you'll dive flat. But if you're kind of slowing down and you press B, you'll do a kick. So you can buffer your kicks, and you might have to pause it, or you might have to time it based on the slope that you're running up. So here's the baby penguin I was talking about. This one we are going to do the speedrunning shortcut, but this one is super easy to do. That's how I justified adding this into my route. I spent actually a long time picking this route, picking certain stars, developing this route, so that's why you're going to see some stars in here that you normally wouldn't see in a 70-star speedrun, and there are some stars you would normally see in a 70-star speedrun that we're not going to see. Basically, just pick up the penguin, slide down the slope. You don't even have to press A or B. You just have to control him with the joystick, and you don't have to worry about that tree there. As long as you're holding the penguin, you will not grab onto the tree. You just go straight through it. Now, on this next one, we're going to do slip sliding with 100 coins. And then the following time, we're going to do the penguin race alone. Normally, you don't do the penguin race alone, but there's risk associated with that. So this is the safer route. It does take slightly longer doing the penguin race alone, but you're taking out a lot of the risk, and you're avoiding those deaths. Here, I'm going to grab this extra red coin. It's a safety coin, which allows me to miss, I believe, 3 coins on the slide. That is kind of a blind long jump that I just did there, so that will take a little bit of practice. Now when you're coming onto these slopes, you don't want to long jump onto them. You basically just want to run straight. If you do long jump or jump onto them, it's actually a lot harder to get that blue coin. I'm not entirely sure why, but it is. And here you want to end with 98 or 99 stars, or excuse me, coins. And there's 15 at the end, so you basically, before you get to that 15, you want to have 83 or 84 coins. At this part, I'm going to hit C right twice. You can actually move the camera before you can move. And when I do that triple jump, I kind of do it to the side. Otherwise, I'm going to grab the tree. So there's kind of an area where you can grab the coin without grabbing the tree. And then as soon as I do the triple jump and spawn the star, I'm going to hit Z and do my ground pound to grab the star. Doing a ground pound below the star, there's a couple reasons why people do that. Number one, it kind of raises your hitbox and you grab the star. And when you do that, it also just kind of sends you straight to the ground. So you don't lose time falling to the ground. It's almost instant. And here, you don't need to grab the coins. I think just out of habit, I grab the coins because I'm just, I haven't practiced this route too much. Spent a long time making it, but haven't practiced it too much. Yeah, the penguin can be a little tricky sometimes. He can kind of push you off or get in your way kind of in that midsection. He does what's called rubber banding, where basically the further you get ahead, the faster he'll go. And here when I'm talking to the penguin, notice how I inch towards him. It's just like the Bowser. I'm face towards him, just kind of creeping his way, and that'll activate the text box, which will spawn the star. And this next one is wall kicks will work. This one I was a little iffy about on the way to do it. This one will require a little bit of practice, because what we're going to do is you jump, you fall down, and then you hit B, you kick backwards, and that'll get you on that slope there. And I try to avoid, in any places I can, doing more than 2 wall kicks at any given time. I think I accidentally do it in Fire C, but for the most part I don't do back-to-back wall kicks. I'm basically just trying to keep this as simple as possible. You're going to notice the camera movement is really important. Moving the camera takes a lot of practice. So if you see me do the camera a certain way, it doesn't mean you have to do it the exact same way. Here I go into the left door first. Open the left door actually has a shorter animation, so people will typically go into the left door. When you wall kick, you have, I believe, 5 frames to wall kick, and if you wall kick on the first frame possible, you get what's called a firstie, and that basically, it keeps your speed. So if you go into the wall kick with a lot of speed and you get a firstie, you're going to come off that wall with the same amount of speed. But if you do it on the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, or 5th frame, it's going to come off with like a constant speed, like a well-known speed. So sometimes firsties are good, but sometimes they're bad because it can send you off course in a way that you don't intend to do. Next we're going to do the haunted books. Fun fact, this is the only star, the only non-swimming star that you do not touch the camera in. You don't turn the camera, you don't zoom in, you don't zoom out, you just keep the camera as it is. And here what I'm going to do is basically turn Mario like that, and normally you go into a side flip, but when you do that motion, you jump, you press A and B, and you'll do a dive. And what's nice is when you go into that motion and Mario turn it around into the side flip, you can side flip any way you want. In fact, you can turn around, go forward, and then side flip him forward in the same direction you were still going. Next we're grabbing MIPS here. Normally I would dive here, I accidentally kick twice. And I go to Mario Cam, and I dive 3 times. On the 3rd one, I grab him. I make sure not to roll out on the 3rd one, otherwise you won't grab him. Just kind of like when you're kicking in the air, and if you roll out, you're not going to grab onto like a ledge or a tree, or in this case MIPS. Now this level I was a little unsure of kind of the easy routes to take. So for this first one I'm just going to grab the shell and we're going to get inside the pyramid. Notice how when I grab the shell I run around in a circle, and by doing that kind of larger turn I keep Mario's momentum going forward. If I do kind of that short turn I was talking about earlier with the side flips, you're going to lose all of your momentum. Now the key thing on these pillars is that the hitboxes can be a little tricky, particularly on the first one. So as I'm coming off the first one, I like to jump a little bit, and that increases my chances of getting the hitbox. Typically the 1st and the 4th ones are the ones that are easier to miss. I very rarely have problems with the 2nd or 3rd one. So on these next 2, I kind of... Well, this is the route that I take. I jump over the sand, but if you don't feel comfortable doing it this way, by all means just go grab the shell, and then you can just go straight through all the quicksand and everything. And you can see I've got time to spare here, so in this case grabbing the shell wouldn't really slow you down. But on the next star we're going to grab that the star at the top of the pyramid, and grabbing the shell would take a fair bit amount more time, but the way I do it isn't too hard to do. It's basically the same thing that I just did. And then this star, I believe this is one of the 2 places that I am going to do a triple jump off of a slope, and I'm going to do that to get up the side of the pyramid. I actually don't line this up very well, but you can kind of see how I back it up. Basically, to do that triple jump, or any triple jump, you have to have forward momentum. You can do a double jump in place, but to do a triple jump, you have to have some forward momentum. So next we'll go to Lethal Lava Land. And we'll get the log rolling star first. This one's actually not too hard to do. Probably the trickiest parts are manipulating the camera. Do a triple jump off there. And what's nice about flying is that it's actually the only time you can do a triple jump when you're standing still. So if you're having trouble with that, you can actually just jump to the top of that stone archway, and you can do a standing triple jump into flying, and that'll give you enough momentum to get over. For the Bully Star, normally you would do a triple jump, or excuse me, a long jump off of this flame spitter with the mushroom, but I take the easy route. I just do the burn booster. It does take damage, but as long as I don't fall in again and I grab some of these coins, I'll be good. To kill those bullies, basically when you land on top of the bullies or you do a ground pound, you kick, they will go in whichever direction that Mario is facing. So even if you hit them from, say, the side and you're aimed forward, they'll go forward. They won't go off to the side. They'll go whichever way Mario's facing. Now, star order is important, and I talk about risk a lot, and I typically go for the harder stars first, and so I went for the bullies before the single bully, just because I think that's the hardest star to do, and in fact I kind of messed this one up a little bit. These platforms are surprisingly tough to get up. They fall very, very quickly. If you are able to get there with 4 or more health, you can do like a long jump into the lava on the side of the big platform and then just lava boost your way up there. It's a more conservative, safer route than what you'll typically see where people do long jumps off of that, or up the stairs there. Red coins is pretty simple. Notice how when I do these turns, I do them wide, and on that last dive, I actually wait a little bit, and that way allows me to roll into the star and grab it very quickly. If I dive right away and then I roll out, I might not actually time it out well, and I might run underneath or to the side of the star, and that's why I wait for that. For this next one, we're going to go inside the volcano, and I do a long jump off the top of this thing and then jump dive and then just run up the side of the volcano. It'll take a little bit of practice. We obviously don't go for lava boost, but surprisingly, this only takes about 10 more seconds than the lava boost, the beginner lava boost strategy, and this is much more conservative, much easier to do this way. And I'm going to... We kind of get to the top of this pole, and I'm just going to aim it just like so. To do a jump dive, I press A, and then very shortly afterward I press B. That will kind of maximize your distance. And for the last star here, we're going to grab the elevator star. This one will require a bit of practice to do it quickly. Probably the biggest concern you'll have is not getting burned by the flame spitter, grabbing the pole. This is not a notched jump, so sometimes we talk about notched jumps, and that basically means in the controller, it's like an octagon, so you got 8 different corners, so to speak. When you jump off the elevator onto the pole, it's not exactly notched. It's a little bit more down to the right a little bit. Now when we get to Dire Docks, normally you would do chest, then the sub, and then the manta ray. But I'm going to do it in a different order. I'm going to do the sub first, the manta ray, and then the chest. And the reason why I do that, even though it's slightly longer, because the kind of blue painting or whatever you want to call it gets pushed back, Missing the manta ray can cost you a lot of time. I mean, if you get manted, as they call it, it can cost you up to like 30 seconds. And so by doing the manta ray before the chest, it allows me to back up a missed manta ray with the chest and gives me a second opportunity to do it without losing any significant amount of time. For Bowser's sub, it creates a lot of lag, and so when I'm doing this, I'm holding C left to kind of keep the sub out of frame as much as I can. I jump up onto that onto the fin there, and I like to kind of go at like a 45-degree angle because it is easy to overshoot it or undershoot it, where you fall back into the water, and it can be a little bit tricky to get back on. And then I immediately go into a side flip. And then when I go up the back slope of the sub, I'm holding the joystick in that direction the entire time. I never have the joystick in neutral on a slope, otherwise you will immediately slide back down. So anytime you're trying to manipulate or move around a slope, you have to have the joystick moved in a certain direction, otherwise you'll just stop and then slide back down. For the manta ray, the first 5 rings are very consistent. The 6th ring is somewhat consistent, but after that, if you go to like the 7th or 8th ring, that's where getting manted comes in, and the kind of hitboxes get all screwed up, and it can be really tricky to back that up. So again, here with the chest, you'll notice that I'm just facing the back as I touch it, and it'll open it up. Which allows me to just kind of rub along the side and cut the corners. In this case, I actually went behind the chest. I messed up the turn a little bit. I like to go into Mario Cam there for that turn. I think it's a little bit easier, because if you keep it in a Lakitu Cam, doing that turn by the vortex, it's a little bit more of a blind turn, so to speak. Here on Fire Sea, I do think I messed up a little bit. Because it's kind of movement I don't really practice too much. And this is one of the hardest levels, so this is actually a really great place to practice. When I do that long jump here in the lava boost, I make sure that I that I land on that platform that I did a little bit. You can't do a long jump straight into the lava and boost up to that ledge, it's just too far away. Fun fact, when you have your bottom burned, you can rotate Mario. You can change directions of where he's facing. Oh, here's the second time I do a triple jump off a slope. This part's kind of tricky, and I'm going to do a long jump over there. But yeah, what I was saying is, when Mario's in the air, you can never change his direction unless you're burned or if you're flying. But he'll always face the same angle, but you can turn him left and right. This part I screwed up because I normally do it a different route, and I just don't have the timing down. And here I'm just going to lava boost again. I'm going to grab the heart, and this will allow me to boost twice. Fairly easy to do. And here I do this quick side jump, and I hold left immediately. And I just keep holding left. That's a notched turn, as you could say. When you do a rollout, you never take damage when you fall, and you won't get stuck in the snow. So if you're going to fall off a ledge, you can jump and dive and then press B again, and you'll roll out off the edge, and you won't take damage when you fall. Here, notice when I run up and I start to slide, how I turn Mario and I face him around. If when he starts to slide and he's facing up the slope, he'll do a belly slide backwards where you can't jump or control him. But if you turn him around and then he slides forward on his butt, you can jump in the air and you can do a kick from that jump to time it out. So it's typically better to slide forward on your butt than it is to slide in any other, basically on your belly, forward, backwards, on your butt, backwards, and so on. Next we'll go up to Wet Dry World, and we're going to do secrets with 100, and I more or less do this the beginner strat. The individual movements aren't terribly hard, but this is one of the tougher stars, no doubt about it. And this is another one where RNG comes into place, where you know the coins can jump up anywhere. When I hit these boxes, especially on these second ones, I like to push up against the box. Otherwise, when I press B, and if you have forward momentum, you will dive into it and get a bonk. Here I got a little lucky with the skeeter there. And here I'm not really diving and rolling into those blue coins, because it is possible to roll and dive out over the blue coins, and it's a very short timer. So if you miss one or if you fall off the ledge, it's actually quite easy to miss one of the red coin or one of the blue coins. There's only 107 coins in this entire section of the level. This route allows you to miss one, so we go for 101 coins. But you can see that there's a box there in the back corner, and there's another box kind of where the star ends up spawning that each have 3 coins each. So that's the extra 6 coins. So if you do miss a blue coin, you can go grab those. Here I do a I do that kick there, and it gives me a little bit of extra height to get me over that edge. Here I switch into Mario Cam, and I go, you really want to turn that camera around. You can't really do that part in Lakitu Cam, because Lakitu Cam just simply will not give you the angle that you need. I like to do all the low level water, the low water level stars first, and when I do that I jump into the bottom of the painting. So I save the top of the town for the last star, because the top of the town you can get if you accidentally enter at the wrong height. This jump isn't too hard, it's just a triple jump. It's nothing, it looks more complicated than it is. That was a really dusty movement there, I shouldn't have done that. And this is another example of taking a more conservative route. So you'll notice I'm going to take the elevator up instead of trying to wall jump up there. If you do wall jump up there, it's easiest to do if you start from the platform, and so you're kind of angled slightly towards to the right of the screen. But if you try wall jumping, doing wall kicks back and forth up there, and you miss, and if you land and you fall and you miss the elevator, you can really get screwed there. So I'm really taking the conservative route. Here I'm going to get shocking arrow lifts. This is exactly how all the pros will do it. This is a very simple star. Right when you transport, I press down C and right C to change the camera. And that requires a little bit of practice, that jump down with the ground pound. You basically just gotta be careful that you are gonna get the flame coming after you right away. So if you do miss that jump, the ground pound, make sure you jump up again. For the skeeter, you gotta hold back a little bit from the long jump. You can't go straight into it. And we're gonna go around here, kind of like we did in the secret star. Switch to Mario Cam. And then just triple jump here, and as soon as I hit the bottom of the box, I ground pound, and that will allow me to grab the star without having to touch the ground again. So next we're going to go to THI Secrets. This is probably the hardest star, I think. I messed around with different kinds of routes for a true beginner. This one, if you're uncomfortable doing it, I might suggest, if you can, replace it with that JRB, the Jetstream star, but you have to learn how to swim fast. But as you're going to see here, I almost die. I get burned here, just completely blindly. And then doing this dive off this tree here is a little tricky. You have to jump and dive basically as Mario's climbing, and you want to go for kind of that bottom corner of that platform. And this part was tricky. Yeah, so I switched to Mario Cam. I go for the, I don't go for the slide and the jump over the gap. I get the bridge going. So if there's any star that I think is the hardest, it's that one. Next we're going to get top of the island. I don't do the clip here to get up. I go around, do the ledge grab. Probably the hardest thing here The thing you gotta look out for the most is grabbing onto the chukya, as it's called. So when I do that, I make note of where he is. I can do a side flip and you can go straight into a dive so you don't ledge grab. And then I switch to Mario Cam as I'm getting onto that bridge. It's just a little bit easier to control him there. And lastly, we're going to get the piranhas. And I'm going to do this the exact same way that you would see the pros do it. Which is essentially the casual or intended way of doing the star. When I get out, it does take... They won't spawn right away, which is why I do this little circle to just get speed going and keep it going. And then I do a slide kick with Z and B for the first 4. And yeah, the last one, sometimes you jump up on them, you can punch them. And then the star spawns basically, if you drew a line from the corner of the fence to the pipe, it basically just spawns like right in the middle. You can't jump high, but you can just do a jump and a quick ground pound if you want to. So when I talk to Toad here, I actually kind of run around him intentionally. It takes a little bit for him to load, sort of, and this helps line up the jump into Tall Mountain. And I'm going to start off, typically in any levels where you climb up, you typically want to go for the stars that are higher up. So if you do mess up, it's easier to back up the stars at the bottom than it is to climb all the way back up. And for the bridge star and the top of the mountain, I'm going to take the long way around. That part's a little tricky when you have to look out for the Monty moles. This is a short triple jump here, but that's a good place to practice a triple jump. Now for the top of the mountain, we're basically going to take that same route, but we're going to bring it a little further around. When I get into the wind, I kind of want to push into the wall. I want to get out of that wind as quickly as I can. So you notice I turn the camera, I'm kind of pushing away, just trying to limit it as much time in the air as I can. I press C left 3 times here, and this time I go into a triple jump. Sometimes if you land on top of the moles, they can really mess you up, so that's kind of a tricky part. Here you want to be careful if you do go for a rollout, because if you bonk into that wall by the cloud, you will fall. Next star, we're going to go for reds, which is... It is a star where you're prone to falling when you're grabbing the mushrooms, so you're going to notice that I grab the mushrooms quite slowly. When I get up, I start with a couple long jumps, and then I do a couple rollouts. They both, like I said before, they both pretty much go the same speed. Doing a jump dive is a little bit easier going up a slope than it is for long jumps. Also, with those Goombas in the way, a long jump you will take damage if you hit them straight on, but with the jump dive you will typically kill them. So when you're around enemies, it's usually a little bit easier to, a little bit safer to do a dive. And again, the spacing between the long jump and the dive is different, so that's sometimes how you choose. Hey, do I want to do a long jump, or do I want to do the dive? So next one, we'll get the lonely mushroom, and we're going to take the fly guy. We're going to fly over there. There's lots of different ways to do the star. You can get on the log and do a long jump. There's obviously the speedrunning way where you grab the bouncy box, or whatever it's called. But that one can be a little tricky to learn. So, and when I'm flying here, if you press A, you will spin further, and you'll spin faster, but you won't drop as fast. So when I do that, I do not hold A, because I got plenty of room. I don't need to go that far, relatively speaking, so I fall faster if I do not hold A. And the mountainside one. This is, even though it's not the intended way, this is quite easy to do. You basically just jump back. I think I screwed up a little bit. Yeah, I mistimed that. It's basically you jump over and you delay that kick. You basically want to kick when you're just above the fence, and anytime you're near a fence and you're landing on top of it, I think it's programmed in to kind of give you the benefit of the doubt, so to speak, that will push you on the right side of the fence. Here I'm going to start with the red coins. I like to go into Mario Cam here, and I'm going to go around the safe way. There is some risk to the star that if you miss this bouncy guy, or the the spin drift, that it is kind of hard to back up. There is a way to get up here with a triple jump on the slope that you can see here on the right. But yeah, this, in that sense of missing the spin drift, there is some risk, and if you do that, I would turn around and kill the bully and then try again. To get off the shell and do a long jump, just simply hold Z. Z will get rid of the shell, and then you can just press A, you'll go straight into the long jump, and then I run and I dive, press B, and just go grab the star. Here we're going to do the same thing we did before. I'll point out that slope. So that slope kind of to the right by that tree, you can do a triple jump off if you should screw this up. The bully star will be next, and this one might look a little more complicated than it is, but basically you're just going to do a long jump and then a few jump dives, and you're just going to dive right into him, push him off the edge, and jump back into where the star spawns. If you do accidentally go into the ice, no big deal. You'll get burned and shot back up, and it really won't. You really won't lose any time from it. And the next star is the shortest star of the game, and that's going to be the maze. I'm actually going to do the maze itself. I'm not going to do the triple jump off the side because that's a little tricky to do. You just gotta be careful that you don't have too much momentum because it's pretty slippery. Here I do a jump kick. Notice how I kick there, and that's why I don't ledge grab as I'm falling into that chute. And so now we're gonna jump back in, and we'll go to the basement to grab the second MIPS, which spawns after 50 stars, and then we'll go over to Hazy Maze Cave, or HMC as it's commonly known as. The second MIPS, I think it's programmed to be a little bit tougher than the first one, but the strategy to get there is exactly the same. And this time I dive, and I go into Mario Cam before I get to the door. Same thing as I did before. I kind of long jump, then kind of run along that one wall, and that will help me kind of angle. Find the right angle. Then I do three dives, but on the last one I don't roll out, so I grab MIPS. Here's something funny happened when I talked to Toad. I'm not sure. I think that's an example of the fence pushing me back where I'm supposed to be. Now, in most cases, you see me save and quit, or sorry, usually when I exit a star, I save and continue. When you watch the pros do it, they'll go down twice and do continue without saving. And the reason why they do that is it saves a little bit of time on lag. I think throughout the entire run it will save a few seconds. But if you accidentally press down once and hit save and exit, then you gotta go back to the menu. You start outside the castle. It can cost you 30 seconds or so. And so that's a good example of risk management. So I'm willing to lose those few extra seconds because I don't want to accidentally hit save and save and exit. This is the only clip that I do, and basically I'm going to let the elevator come down, push up slightly along the right side of the wall. You don't want to do it in the middle of the elevator, otherwise the elevator will just basically go right through you and you'll be kind of pop back up on top of it. So you want to be pushing up slightly against the wall and slightly angled to the right, and that will allow you to drop onto the star as I just did. Next star is Hazy Maze Cave, or Toxic Maze. This is an easy star. Just takes a little bit of Takes a little bit longer to get, but it's a very safe star. Not much can go wrong. This is a fun little long jump here. You don't have to jump off the sky, but it's kind of fun to do. If you miss him, just do a side flip up there or a double jump. And here I'm just gonna ride the elevator up. I do a side flip at the very top. You'll see the pros do like a triple jump wall kick off the black wall, but that takes a little bit more practice. And then the last one's gonna be watch for rolling rocks, which I get a really dusty rollout here, so I'll point it out when it happens. I probably won't need to point it out, but you'll see how much speed I really lose when I do that the dusty rollout. There is a bit of RNG here. I got lucky right here. Yep, that's the dusty rollout. There is some RNG. You typically want to stay to the left, but occasionally the boulders do come in that direction. Kind of hard to avoid when it does, but it happens to everyone. So now we're going to jump back in, and we will exit and go up to Tippy, or the top level. And unlike what you'll typically see, where runners will go to Rainbow Ride first, I'm actually going to go to Tick-Tock Clock first. And I'm just going to jump straight into the painting, and we're going to get roll into the cage. And the reason why I go for roll into the cage is because you can get it with time moving or time stopped, depending on your timing getting up as this door is opened. So I just do a triple jump dive, time moving. This level can be a bit scary. There are a few invisible walls, like right there. Yeah, I wasn't super clean in this part of the run, to be honest, but I made it work. And so next I'm going to get the pendulum and then get a hand. I'm going to do both of them with time stopped. For the pendulum, this next one, I'm going to go up off the platforms by the red coins. It's a little bit harder to do, but you're not going to die. So my movement here isn't super clean. I've always had trouble with these things. I typically prefer going around as I will in the next star. And here when I do this side flip wall kick, I'm really just holding up on the joystick the whole time. That way it will give Mario that angle, that momentum that he needs. If he doesn't, he'll jump too far away and you won't be able to grab onto that ledge. So for get a hand, there's lots of different ways to do this star. I'm going to go around this way this time. And the way I grab the star, I do a jump dive rollout here, and I'm kind of pushing up and to the right. Some people do like a slide, like a butt slide, and kind of push up to the right there. But I think it's pretty easy to just do a dive rollout. Next will be time jumps. This star will require a bit of practice, but it's a fun star to do. And it's basically going to take a similar route as we did for the pendulum, but we're going to go a little bit further. What is fun about this level is that there are lots of different paths you can take. There's lots of different movements. In some cases, it's kind of up to you which way you want to do it. So that's an example right there of me doing a side flip forward, where I'm running forward, then I pull back, he goes into that turning movement, and then I can side flip any way I want. So I can actually side flip back forward. And next we're going to get reds. My reds movement here was actually pretty sloppy, but this can be done essentially the way that you'll see in the any pro do. Or yeah, I accidentally, just out of habit, I jumped up there. Normally you wouldn't. And then I think I kind of, yeah, I messed up right here. Yeah. And I did a low jump there for that third to last coin, because if I bonked on the side of that one ledge, I'd basically fall all the way straight down and then have to climb back up. I think that's one of the harder stars. I think that star's a lot harder than it looks. So we'll talk to Toad. And then we're going to get 3 stars in Rainbow Ride after this. Now the Reds route that I do is completely unique. It's totally different than what you would see anywhere recommended in the Mario Speedrunning website. And so I'm going to just grab this pole to get up. A little slower, but much safer than trying to do a triple jump wall kick off the spinning platforms. And so I'm pretty much going to do this star in the reverse order that you would normally get. And the reason being is that the last star that we'll grab here, which would normally be the first, is kind of difficult to get to with the recommended route. So here I'm going to butt slide, jump, just barely land on that one ledge, and then slide down. That way I won't take any fall damage. And that maze is actually a really fun place to practice movements. It's fun to kind of come up with your own routes. And that was the route that I came up with that I thought that basically any beginner could do. Next is going to be triangles, and then we're going to do swinging in the breeze. It'll be pretty much the same movement for both of them. Just going to kind of go around here. We'll go to the edge. Now you can do a triple jump off these. Triple jump dive. They're pretty simple to use. Normally I would do a long jump through the flame. You can usually do a long jump pretty safe. But you can just do a jump kick over it. Not too hard to avoid that flame spitter. And then for swinging in the breeze, we're going to do the same exact movement up until that intersection where you obviously have to turn. Yeah, and so we completely skipped doing like the cruise ship, the floating cruise ship, because that's a tough star to get, even with the beginner route that they recommend. So that's why I went to GRB at the beginning, to avoid stars like that. There's a triple jump off a slope. I didn't necessarily need to do that. And here you can pretty much dive through that flame. If you do get burned, you can hold back and you can kind of run in circles around the star and you won't fall off. Notice here when I land, I go straight into a double jump. Basically, anytime you run off the platform and you land somewhere, you're gonna go straight into a double jump. You won't single jump if you jump immediately when you land. Yeah, my movement up the stairs wasn't great there. So when I do this, like, I might do a dive, roll out, and it's really just the route, the way that I go, that I recommend. If the movement's too complicated, that's fine. Now, normally I wouldn't hit these stairs, which is kind of why I messed up here. But otherwise, you have to do the triple jump and kick your way up the slope. This part is actually kind of tricky. If you have trouble with it, just do the intended way and go grab the pole at the very end. This part can be kind of tricky to get up any way you go. And this is an easy long jump here. You basically just gotta kind of look out for that Goomba. I think I wall kick there, jump and dive into the pipe. I think I missed one throw here, the last throw. But my final time was, I believe, 59 minutes and 45 seconds. And I'm not the best at Bowser throws, so I typically spin him more than twice that you'll see other people do. And I like never make the last jump or the last throw. I guess it's just something I gotta practice. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, let me know what you think in the comments. I hope this helped. I spent a long time making this route, making this video. I know I don't have a lot of followers or anything, but I think this is really good for true beginners, for people really just trying to pick it up and don't know where to begin. Because a lot of the beginning strats that they show you are quite difficult to do. And so I think this is a really good transitioning for the casual runner who wants to get into speedrunning. And so there it is.